Nasema hello viewers, my name is Kibuchi, a teacher of English and literature from Sunna Academy. I'm here to present a lesson through virtual learning. And our lesson today will come from John Steinbeck's book, The Power. Remember, classes were interrupted because of the outbreak of the coronavirus. But we, in Sunna Academy, we have to continue with our lesson from where we end. I welcome you viewers, parents, and students. Kindly cooperate with us as we take you through this virtual learning. So as earlier introduced, this book for the last number of years, greed has been overtested. And it is the highest time that we looked at the book from another angle. And that gives birth to our question today. That relatives can play critical roles when one of their own is faced with unpleasant circumstances. That is where the question ends. Then you have to write an essay in close reference to the roles played by Joanna Thomas and Joanna in the life of Kino from John Steinbeck's The Power. It should be remembered that Joanna Thomas is the elder brother to Kino, and Joanna is the dear wife to Kino. And those are the relatives that are envisaged in this question. Point number one. When you are faced with this kind of a question, the first thing that you need to do is to read the question, understand the question, and stage number two, you need to underline the keywords that are going to help you answer the question. In my opinion, when I look at this question, I am going to underline number one, relatives. That when we answer this question, we are not looking at any other character in this book. We are only looking at relatives. Those ones related to Kino. Number two, I'm looking at the critical roles. What are those roles that these relatives play? Number three, when one of their own is faced with unpleasant circumstances. I'm looking at number three, unpleasant circumstances. That this question will have two levels. We are looking at the roles played by the relatives. We are also looking at the unpleasant circumstances that face Kino as the main character in this book. When you come to the introduction, and remember, class, what we have always said, that introduction carries 2 marks. And when you are having your introduction, you must bear in mind the 3 cardinal rules in the writing of an introduction. Number one, use your own words. In the introduction, has it that you must not repeat the words that have been used in the question. You must write your own words. Your scope of thinking, your linguistic basket must be full so that you are able to write your own words. And you'll be guided by the words that you have underlined. Relative, which is the best word that you can use for relatives. Critical roles, which is the word that you can use for critical roles. And then unpleasant circumstances. So introduction, cardinal rule number 1, use your own words. Number 2, never define an introduction. Many candidates find themselves failing in the introduction because they had a definitive approach. They tried to define the question. The idea here in paper 3 is for you to understand that what is being tested is your own understanding of the question. So, definition will limit that very expectation. The moment an examiner sees your work and then looks at that introduction that starts with "this is," know that that will be wrong introduction. Number 3, in any introduction, you must be able to link the introduction with the rest of the essay. Given that, let us now have our introduction. E.g., family members are important. Family members are important. Family members stand for relatives. When they are kin, is phased. When their kin is phased with unfriendly unfriendly situations. Full stop. Family members standing for relatives, critical roles, importance, and then unpleasant circumstances with unfriendly situations. Then you can link that introduction to the essay. This is true as shown below. There you have your introduction, full, simple, and apt. Once you have done that, then you must come to the critical part of the question, and that is the body. Let us sample that. We must bear in mind that any essay must have 4 paragraphs in the body. And you must look at that question and ask yourself, we have Joanna, we have Joanna Thomas. Paragraph number 1, I want to start with Joanna. And paragraph number 1, we are going to call it the scorpion bite. Let us give it R1, scorpion bite. The scorpion bite. Paragraph number 1. What does Joanna do when baby Coyotito is bitten by a scorpion bite? So the scorpion bite here is the unpleasant circumstance. Then we must look at what role does Joanna play when there is that unfortunate scorpion bite. Paragraph number 2, we can call it R2. R2, we are going to call it the journey to the doctor. The journey to the doctor. Paragraph number 3. We are going to call it Coyotito's deteriorating condition. Condition. Paragraph number 4. We are going to call it Kino's attacks. Paragraph number 5. We are going to call it evil nature of the power. Evil nature of the power. Paragraph number 6. We are going to call it the murder. Paragraph number 7. We are going to call it Joanna's realization. Joanna's realization. Candidates, if you look at my analysis of the question, we have paragraph number 1, the scorpion bite, journey to the doctor, Coyotito's deteriorating condition, Kino's attacks, the evil nature of the pearl, the murder, and Joanna's realization. But candidates, we must bear in mind that a paper 3 question must have 4 paragraphs. Depending on your knowledge on any one of these situations, you can select any 4 paragraphs. But let us also remember our original question was in close reference to Joanna and Joan Thomas. But for purposes of revision, we can look at the role that Joanna plays, and we also look at the role that Joanna Thomas plays. And that is why we have started with Joanna. A good candidate must be able to organize his work that way, such that you come to the next stage of filling in the details in every paragraph. Let us start with our paragraph number 1, the scorpion bite. I must remind you, candidates, that for you to be able to get full mark in every paragraph, you must have what we call textual details. Details as we see them from this text. That a good candidate in English paper 1013 is that candidate who will have read the book, mastered the book, and is able to give out details. Unlike in mathematics, many candidates will always ask how many details are always needed in every paragraph, and my answer has always been 1. As much details as the paragraph demands. We may not have an arithmetic quantification of what is needed here, but enough details that every person will be able to see that the candidate understands the text. The scorpion bite. What details will be needed in this particular paragraph? And it is instrumental for your own revision that we are going to see this one on page 22 and page 23. All those details are captured there. That the baby is bitten by a scorpion. That is the situation that Kino finds himself in. We are mentioning about the biting. About the biting. The baby is screaming with pain. The baby is screaming with pain. The baby is screaming with pain. Kino, our gentleman, Kino concentrates. Kino concentrates on the scorpion. Kino concentrates on the scorpion, smashing it into fragments and moisture. Into fragments and moisture. Is this one helping the baby? No. And that is where Joanna comes in. The role that she plays at this particular critical stage. Joanna is proactive. Sucks the poison. Sucks the poison time and again. from the baby's shoulders. Here is a man in the name of Kino who, when the baby has been stung, this man concentrates on eliminating the scorpion. But Joanna, given the motherly instincts, goes for the child, such the poison, not once, but twice, from baby's shoulders. And still here, like the neighbors, Kino resigns his fate. Kino resigns his fate. He feels that the doctor cannot come to attend the doctor cannot come to attend to the baby. He has given up. Let us capture these details so that you understand them better. Page 22. Paragraph number 3. But Joanna had the baby in her arms now. She found the puncture with redness, starting from it already. She put her lips down over the puncture and sucked hard, and spat, and sucked again, while Coyotito screamed. Kino hovered. He was helpless. Look at this unpleasant situation. He was helpless. He was in the way. The screams of the baby brought the neighbors out of their plush houses. They called. We jump to page 23, paragraph number 2. Kino had wondered often at the irony in his patient's fragile wife. She, who was obedient and respectful and cheerful and patient, could act her back in childbearing with hardware pride. She could stand fatigue and hunger almost better than Kino himself. In the canoe, she was like a strong man. And now, she did a most surprising thing. You can see, even Kino admired the nature of Joanna, her humility, her steadfastness, and her aptness. And when Joanna says, "Let us go to the doctor," the neighbors start wondering in paragraph number 3. Joanna wants the doctor. A wonderful day, a memorable day to want the doctor. To get him would be a remarkable thing. It was never conceived in their minds that the doctor can come from the comfort of the plaster and stone houses to the humble abode of the blush houses to come and treat the child. That is what the neighbors think. It gets into Kino. And we are told he would not come. The people in the door said, and the Lord got into Kino. And that is why we are saying, like the neighbors, Kino resigns his fate, feels that the doctor cannot come to attend to the baby. The wonderful lady, Joanna says, the doctor would not come. Then we can go to the doctor. And she does not just say the words. She leaves the words. All this time she is preparing the baby. Feels that the doctor cannot come to attend to the baby. Joanna asserts. Then we must go to him. We must go to him. All this while, she is preparing the baby and she leads the way to the doctor. So the scorpion bite gives us that very important thing. The baby is screaming in pain. Kino concentrates on the scorpion, smashing it into fragments and moisture. Joanna is proactive. Sucks the poison time and again from the baby's shoulders. Like the neighbors, Kino resigns his fate. Feels that the doctor cannot come to attend to the baby. Joanna asserts. Then we must go to him. That is our paragraph number 1. The situation is Kino's helplessness. And then Joanna comes out to offer a suggestion and she leaves the suggestion. Art. Creditors. Deteriorating condition. This one can be found on page 33 and then page 51. Page 33. The details that include here: swelling, spreads. The swelling spreads to the ears. Swelling spreads to the neck. Ears, and the baby becomes feverish. Of course, you have the background information that when they went to the doctor, they never received any treatment. They were turned away because they belonged to the inferior race and they did not have the money to pay. And once again, the baby's condition is becoming worse. The poison is spreading fast to the neck, to the ears, and the baby is feverish. Joanna does not just sit down. The role here is Joanna prepares traditional medicine and applies on the kid, the baby's wound. Make him do with what you have at the moment. And we are told it was even better than the doctor would have done. The story does not end there. Joanna prays. This lady offers a prayer. Not for the baby's healing, not for the baby's healing, but they will get a power with which to pay the doctor. I want you to underscore this point. She has already prepared traditional medicine for the child, but does not sit down preaching. Goes ahead and seeks divine intervention. She knows at the end of the day, the baby might need conventional medicine, and she prays that they will get the pearl. Remember, it was the prayer of every fisherman that they would get the giant pearl, with which to pay a doctor for treatment. That is the wonderful Joanna that we are talking about. Much later, when the doctor discovers that these guys have the giant pearl, the doctor schemes on how to come back to the family, treat the child, and treat is in quotes, so that he can be a beneficiary of the pearl. I want you to know the difference between between Kino and Joanna Thomas. When the doctor comes, and then scares the family. Kino is gullible. He is easily cheated. The doctor comes with such things as we find on page 51. Page 51. A little back on page 50, the last paragraph. This is the doctor. Sometimes, my friend, the scorpion sting has a curious effect. There will be apparent improvement, and then without warning, he pursed his lips and made a little expression to show how quick it could. Down there he says, sometimes, the doctor went on in a liquid tone, sometimes there will be a withered leg or a blind eye or a crumpled back. Kino becomes gullible by these words. He continues on page 51, paragraph 2. Kino felt the rage and hatred melting towards fear. He did not know, and perhaps the doctor did, and he could not take the chance of putting his certain ignorance against this man's possible knowledge. He was trapped, as his people are always trapped. Ignorance, this is. And would be until, as he had said, they could be sure that the things in the books were really in the books. He could not take a chance, not with the life of the little, with the straightness of Coyotito. He stood aside and let the doctor and his man enter the blush hut. He has allowed the evil man into the house just because the doctor has conned his way by scaring him. I want you to compare Kino's actions with that one of Joanna. Joanna stood up from the fire and backed away as he entered, and she covered the baby's face with the fringe of her shawl. And when the doctor went to her and held out his hand, she crushed the baby tight and looked at Kino for guidance. That protective, this is the evil man. And then Joanna is protecting the child, clutching her baby very seriously. But Kino allows the man. He nods, and it is only through that signal that Joanna gives out the child. So that one can still be captured in Coyotito's deteriorating condition under paragraph number 2. Paragraph number 3. Number 3, Kino's attacks. So the situation that is facing us here are the many attacks directed towards Kino. Remember, candidates, reading this book, the pearl had become everybody's dream. It had entered into their dreams, into their ambitions. They had become greedy, and only one man stood their way, and that was Kino. So they found a way of eliminating him so that they can get the power. And that gave rise to the attacks that we are talking about. So when Kino was attacked, not once, not twice, many times, Joanna comes in and plays a very critical role. Attack number one. That is running from the forehead. What does Joanna do? Joanna wipes away. Joanna wipes away the blood. In another attack, we are told Kino lay on the ground. Kino lay on the ground, half unconscious. Kino lay on the ground, half unconscious. He is bleeding. And has a deep cut. And has a deep cut. Then, what does Joanna do? Joanna sits him on a mat. Joanna sits him on a mat. Wipes blood. During another attack, Kinore lies on the ground. He is half unconscious. He is bleeding and has a deep cut. Joanna sits him on a mat, wipes blood, and washes his wound. What a wonderful woman who never abandoned this man. And these attacks can be found on page 58 to 59. And then page 71. R4. Joanna will not let her man to die in bed. She decisively takes a step to throw away the power. So, the evil nature of the power so Joanna's attempt Joanna attempts to throw away the power. She has to take an action because this thing has become evil and it is going to destroy them. She makes that attempt to throw away the pearl back into the sea. Unfortunately, she is battered. And candidates describe the battering. Describe the battery where Kino breaks into the run, wrenches the pearl out of her, throws her among the boulders, kicks her until Joanna realizes that this man is becoming an animal. The next paragraph R5. R5, the pleadings. The pleadings, page 59, page 79. Joanna realizes that the power has endangered them and then pleads with Kino. So realizes the danger of the power and pleads with Kino to discard it. Page 59 quickly, the last paragraph of page 59. Now the tension which had been growing in Joanna boiled up to the surface, and her lips were thin. "This thing is evil," she cried harshly. "This pearl is like a sin. It will destroy us." And her voice rose shrilly. "Throw it away, Kino. Let us break it between stones. Let us bury it and forget the place. Let us throw it back into the sea. It has brought evil, Kino, my husband. It will destroy us. And in the firelight, her lips and her eyes were alive with her fear. You can see that pleading. What is Kino's response? Our son must go to school. He must break out of this pod. And that holds us. Page 79. The last paragraph. Kino, this pearl is evil. Let us destroy it before it destroys us. Let us crush it between two stones. Let us throw it back in the sea where it belongs. Kino, it is evil. What is his response once again? No, he said, I will fight this thing. I'll win over it. We will have our chances. That is him. So, describe the plea. Describe the pleading and Kino's response. In this particular paragraph. So what is the situation? The situation is Kino's endangered life. What is the critical role that is played by Joanna? The critical role is to plead with him that it should be discarded. It should be destroyed. It should be crushed between stones. But Kino, his will hardened, and then he says, our baby must have a chance. Paragraph number 6, R6, the realization. There comes a time when you cannot fight a stone. And this is what Joanna realizes, that fighting with Kino is fighting with a stone. Joanna rises above him. And this is the realization. Kino had become obsessed with the power. He was no longer the innocent Kino that we knew. This is a new Kino with a new song, the song of the power, the song of the enemy. And Joanna comes to this realization that you cannot fight this man. You cannot antagonize this man. What I need is to support him. And that is why we are calling this one the realization. Joanna feels that this man had become half insane and half God. Look at that realization. In one of the instances, Kino had told Joanna, I am a man. And after deep thought, Joanna comes to realize what it means to be a man. It means being half God and half insane. That Kino was half God and half man. That is what? It meant to be a man. That is what it meant to be a man. This is Joanna coming to that realization. Let us look at that on page 84. The last paragraph of page 84. Joanna dragged herself up from the rocks on the edge of the water. Her face was a dull pain and her side ached. She steadied herself on her knees for a while and her wet skirt clung to her. There was no anger in her for Kino. Listen to that. Despite having been battered, there was no anger in her. He had said, I am a man, and that meant certain things to Joanna. It meant that he was half insane and half God. It meant that Kino would drive his strength against a mountain and plunge his strength against the sea. Joanna, in her woman's soul, in her woman's realization, in her woman's strength, knew that the mountain would stand while the man broke himself. She also knew that the sea would surge while the man drowned in it. And yet, it was this thing that made him a man. Half insane, half God. And Joanna had need of a man. She could not live without a man. Although she might be puzzled by these differences between man and woman, she knew them and accepted them and needed them. Of course, she would follow him. There was no question of that. Look at that wonderful realization that what it meant to be a man, Kino could. Kino could destroy himself against a mountain. Against a mountain, or drown. Or drown in the sea. And it is when so she realizes she was in need of Kino, that she would follow him to his dreams. She would follow him to his dreams. And it must be remembered, it is Joanna who tells Kino that they should run away. She is the one first cue of escape. So having looked at that, we can now come to our conclusion. All the 5 paragraphs, we can come to our conclusion. In conclusion, yes, true to say that it is true to say that family members come in handy to aid their kids when in need. Candidates, remember, a conclusion is a recap of what we have done there. And you must be able to signal to the examiner that you have come to the conclusion. You can write in conclusion, in summary, and such words that signals conclusion. Just remember, we have only tackled one part of this question. The original question was in cross reference to Joanna and Joan Thomas. And we have looked, for purposes of revision, we have looked at the different critical roles that Joanna plays in the life of Kino. Next, we are going to look at the critical roles that Joan Thomas plays in the life of Kino as an elder brother, so that as a candidate you can make an informed decision when facing such kind of a question. How do you go about it? Just remember, this question can be tackled or can be examined in 2 different ways. In a general way, where you are looking at the 2 characters, it can also be examined in a specific way, where you are told in cross reference to Joan Thomas, in cross reference to Joanna. So we need to know all the approaches. Why don't we look at the role Joan Thomas plays in the life of Kino? By designating this one, paragraph 1, J1. Once again, coyotitos, snake, no, snake, scorpion bite. This one is our paragraph number 1. Page 22, 23, once again. What was the situation? The situation was coyotito scorpion bite. How does the older brother come in? It must be noted that when the baby screams out of pain and shock, neighbors pour into this particular compound. They come in big numbers. But one man stands out. That is Joanna Thomas. His 3 children and his fat wife. They are there. They do not come in as spectators like the other neighbors. That one must be borne in mind. They come and place themselves strategically. They crowd the door and they block the entrance such that these neighbors cannot find their way to where the baby is. Can't you see? That is protection. Offering a cordon of protection. That is Joanna Thomas. Still, when they are going to see the doctor, they are in opposition to the doctor. I want you to look at the arrangement. We are told in front was Kino and Joanna with the baby. Steps behind them was Joanna Thomas and his wife, who was panting because of the journey. The neighbors were out there in the flanks. Can't you see this emotional support? And that one gives us our J1. Let us capture that one. I was giving you that wonderful picture of the kind of emotional and security support that is offered by Joanna Thomas. In our J2, in our next episode of this virtual learning. Once again, I'm Peter Kibuchi, a teacher of English and Literature, Bokosun Academy. In our next episode, we shall look at the role of Joanna Thomas in the life of Kino whenever Kino was in a certain situation. Thank you very much for having given me that company. Bye-bye. See you then.